Look, see, Glenn got the memo. See a fire and stuff show up. That might be in the city.
How you doing, sir? Good. How are you? Good.
Great. What's up?
Yeah. First time.
Flower trees.
All right. Public Works, Mr. Crater.
It's you, Sandy?
Yeah, ours work.
What's now?
Ours work, but theirs doesn't. The same problem as his.
Shower, nothing like that, these are, nothing on this side.
Yes, and I just spoke with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Now you should work. Mr. Crater.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to postpone my Public Works Committee until later if possible, since we don't have a quorum.
Okay. All right, next is Utility Committee, Mr. Martin. He's not here, Mr. Reggie. And
Start with Mr. Tim Crater, wastewater superintendent, please.
you do have a quorum.
Good afternoon. Nothing major to report, which is good. 641 Louisiana one call locate requests. 324 of those were updated tickets by current contractors in town for Centerpoint Energy, the city that's doing the overlay project, as well as Walco. Of those, 28 were emergency locates, and 289 were new tickets filed for the month of October. We had 24 work orders filed. One pump was removed, cleaned out at the 8th Street lift station, put back in service, and it's still in operation today. Other than that, that's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Tim Mater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Reggie. My utility engineer report begins on page 14. I have one action item. That action item will be on starts on page 17, that's the LCDBG sewer system repair project. The action is on page 18, near the bottom of the page. I have partial payment estimate number 5. Project as of October 25th was 38% complete by time, 11% complete by cost. The partial payment estimate number 5 shows a total value of work done through that date at $191,018.17. The amount of $9,550.90 is being withheld for retainage. The total amount due therefore is $48,566.25. And I ask that you approve partial payment number 5 to NCNC LLC for that project in that amount.
All right, also move.
Second?
Second by Mr. Prater. Next up, I'm in your committee, by the way, so we're gonna do, action item number 1. I'll catch up. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, it'll pass.
That's the only action item I have.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mayor, I just have a question about, it's not about our action item, but I have a question about the service road. There was some utility work, sewer work done out there.
Utilities.
2 years ago, perhaps. Are any of the residents or landowners going to get any reimbursement for any of that sewer work that they had to pay up front? Or do you know offhand?
I don't know what that.
I don't know if the mayor would know, or that would be from you or the mayor, or?
I don't know, because I'm not what exactly you want.
Would they have to pay out a certain amount to connect into some of the city sewer system?
Like a business that was building?
Well, the homeowners, the landowners have to pay out, yes. The developers. Yeah, the Bratton family and the Hoffpower family specifically.
We saw to the extension of a sewer main along I-10, along the big channel, the big pool there, it crossed over, all that was paid for in part by the property owner, but there was a betterment paid because we held it deeper than was needed. Is that what you're talking about?
I assume, but you don't know about any reimbursement?
I would say this, that developers ordinarily pay for utility extensions, and I believe in this case, except for betterment, the developer paid for that sewer extension from the existing manhole on I-10, along the I-10 right of way, along the channel, crossing the road, and then along the service road to get to the lots that were developed. That was all paid for by the developer. That's standard practice. And I don't see where anybody's gonna get anything back for that.
Okay, well, it just came to my attention that, that was going to happen, so I didn't know.
Traditionally, a developer of any subdivision is going to pay for streets, water, sewage, electric, street lighting. All of that is part of the development cost, which is ordinarily recovered by the sale of lots.
Mr. Martin.
Tim, what Kim was talking about, I've done some research on that, and basically, the city has latitude to reimburse any property owner when they do work that's basically enhance the city. In other words, and I'm using this as an example, if I own this table right here, and I'm just saying this city property and on the other side of the city property, in other words, for them to get servitude, whatever, to that next whatever, and whoever owns this property here, if it enhances the city can reimburse. Okay, it's not. I understand being a developer. I understand what you're saying. That's usually cost of doing business. But in this case right here, when a private citizen put out any type of expenditures that would basically help the city along. In other words, I know Kim was talking about two different properties that has already exemplified that. but the city can reimburse. Okay, it's not normal practice, but it's really up to the city to reimburse. Because the way they explained it to me, that if it enhance the value of the property and also the city, and it does in one way, because if I'm not mistaken, the property that we're talking about, isn't that on the service road, Kim? Okay, well, and I'm just using it like it is. If there's a property that's a junction to northern, well, in this case, it would be east and west property, and the only way that servitude can be delivered to the property other than private property, the city can reimburse. They don't always do, but it can be done. I checked in on that, and it has been done. A lot of municipalities, as a matter of fact, they were quick to, well, they didn't want to have their name called out, but they were quick to thank that landowner for doing what they done, because other than that, they would have to probably go through, what is it, eminent domain or what have you, to actually take their property. So I just want to bring that up. But Kim, that is a method to it.
Ms. Brown, you had something?
Yes, I didn't understand what Jim said about
Press the button,
going
Miss
up to the property owner to pay for it, but you said something else, what, betterment, or what was it you said?
Yes,
I didn't understand.
the development on that property, your lots needed to be served with a gravity sewer line of a certain depth, just to get to your property. The city asked for that line to be deeper than you needed, so that it could be extended eastward toward Tower Road. The city paid for the deeper depth, which is termed betterment. So the city, instead of reimbursing Steph, the city actually paid for the betterment, for the enhanced.
Okay, so the city did. Okay, but I know there was money for that. I didn't know exactly how it would be handed out, but I knew that there was money available
Right,
for
the
it.
city paid for the deeper depth that the developer did not need in order to serve their lot by
Okay.
gravity.
I got you.
I would like to disagree with that statement because the city did not pay anything. If they did, I would like to see it in writing. The city did not pay anything for that sewage, and it cost well over $100,000 for that to be put in, and it was not the city doing it.
Okay, I can show you.
I would appreciate seeing that in writing.
Sure.
That would help a whole bunch too.
I can do that.
Okay, you want to just text it or email it? However you and Dave communicate, email it to him?
Yes, I'll leave it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Okay, went through action items. I don't have any discussion items. Anything else to come before utility? I will recess.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Let's see.
Thank you, Rich.
Mr., you have a quorum now, Mr. Gray.
Thank you. I'd like to call to order the Public Works Committee. We do have a quorum. Byron is the only one not here. First off, we'll start off with Public Works Director, Mr. Albert John.
Good afternoon. I'll be brief. We have no equipment that is out. Everything is up and running. And the other thing is we are continuing to spray for mosquitoes. And looking at the extended forecast, we will be spraying for sure through next week. And then we'll have to just go from there. But they did get bad the day before yesterday.
And I agree, Halloween night, we had to go inside because they were so bad. I mean, they got really.
And Halloween night, he sprayed, but he sprayed after 8 o'clock. You know, we couldn't spray when there were kids out on the road, people out on the road, so he didn't get started till late. We sprayed Monday night, we sprayed last night, we're spraying tonight, we're gonna spray again tomorrow night. And we're gonna continue, as long as necessary. Any questions?
Sounds good. Anybody got anything for Mr. John? Thank you very much, Mr. John.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll have the Street Commissioner, Mr. Gilbert Osteen.
Not here, he had to go back to the hospital.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I got a few phone calls about the way things were handled right after the Rice Festival. And You know, everybody says what's step when you go after somebody and whatever, but I want to give you kudos. You and Gilbert for cleaning the streets like you done immediately after the festival. I think it was real professional. I had a lot of people call me, and my district is shared with, who is it? Brad, is it my district? Y'all on the north, on the east side, and I'm on the west side, okay. But I want to give you kudos for doing that. A lot of people that came up to me and said how dirty the streets was, and when they woke up in the morning, it was clean. So,
Well, thank you
all due
very
respect
much.
to y'all, thank you.
Thank you very much, but I want to give kudos to all of the street department and all of the people who helped to be able to do that. They deserve all the credit.
But it's still under your administration.
Yes, sir.
I just
Thank
wanna-
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steph. Next up, city engineer, Mr. Tim Maker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am looking at page 4 in my engineer's report for Public Works Committee. I have 2 action items. One is contract A for the street improvements project. I have partial payment estimate number 11. As of October 25th, that contract was 81% complete by time, 37% complete by cost. Partial payment number 11 has the total value of work at $2,541,592.34. $127,079.62 is being held for material and labor lien. And the total amount due is $63,638.76. And I would ask you to approve partial payment estimate number 11 to Glenn Leger for contract A in the amount of $63,638.76.
The motion is read,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Martin. Discussion?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, there's several areas along East 4th and 5th Street and the Avenue J that the entire street is being removed and down to grade. What's the purpose, the reason for that?
I'll go look at that with you.
Going down to the third.
Yes.
I spoke with the Mr. AJ, whatever his position is. It's concrete streets and the concrete is broken. So they're redoing the foundation. I know because it's right outside my garage.
Yeah, right, exactly. And,
I can still go look at that.
okay, I was just curious, why those areas were selected, how was that determined? To have those areas removed?
Yeah, if I go look at it, really, I'll be able to tell you. Look at it, right?
Yes, Mr. Martin.
Tim, have you gone by Niece's Restaurant?
Where's that?
Niece's Restaurant that's on the corner of Weston and 10th Street on the south side? Is there any way that pavement can be milled down any better than what it is? Because I happen to drive up there myself, and I've seen everybody like gunning to get through. Get from her pavement, her parking lot to the road. Tell me if I'm not mistaken, it's at least about 4 or 5 inches or more. So they actually have to gun it just to get, you understand what I'm saying? And by doing that, they had the car that was coming. And when the lady came out, she gave her so much gas that she actually went to the neutral ground. So I drove over it, and be honest with you, it needs to be milled down. I don't know how they would do it, but the way they got it is milled and it goes on a steep slope. But if there's any way to try and equalize this, to make it smoothly coming out, because I can see somebody coming out of there, man, and like I said, giving it the gas and jump in front of someone that's coming on oncoming traffic. Because when there's a lot of business over there, some of the cars you have to actually get out, Chief, you know what I'm talking about, into the road, almost to see what's coming. So whatever they can do to alleviate that drop, I don't know if they have to mill it down maybe 5 or 6 inches further into the actual road, but if something can be done with that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Can you send me that address, please?
Well, it's Niece's Restaurant, Tim, it's on, I'm not sure what the restaurant is on.
I'll get it.
It's on
I'll
10th
send
and
it to
Western.
them.
Yeah.
10th and
I got
Western.
it. I
Thank you.
get it.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion
page 5, I have partial payment estimate number 6 for contract B. As of October 25th, the contract was 66% complete by time, 54% complete by cost. Estimate number 6 estimates that the total value of the work through that date is $5,352,141.11. $267,607.06 is being withheld for labor and material liens, and the total amount due is $178,018.46. So I'm asking you to approve partial payment estimate number 6 to Glenn Leger Construction for contract B in the amount of $178,018.46.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fogelman, seconded by Mr. Martin. Discussion?
This,
Yes, Mr. Martin?
Tim, what kind of retainer we having left on that contract? I mean, well, better yet, a better question. How much is left on the contract before we go into the, what was the word you used, the punch list or whatever?
Yes, we have only labor material liens to withhold at this point in about 5% of what's.
So it's still, it's fine, okay,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah, and I was riding around in Ward 1 today some, and I can tell you that their list of problems is probably gonna be, it'd be easier for them to put the streets down that aren't cracked than they are right now, because I saw so many cracks in the street, and I don't know how that's gonna be repaired or what's gonna be done, but when the final thing comes out, I'll tell you, it's gonna be a bunch, because there's a lot of cracked streets, there's just lines running everywhere. So, I don't know what's happening, that's your area, but hey, there's a bunch in Ward 1 for sure, I saw it today. Yes, Mr. Stringfellow? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, and I just want to reinforce that, and of course, Mr. Mayor, I've documented some of that, so just kind of keep that in mind at the end.
Yes, ma'am. Could you state your name and?
Jermaine Rock. I want to talk about the quality of the work that's being done on the streets. I walk for exercise. I prefer not to go to the field because of all the gravel. It gets in these shoes.
Tim, you got a new job.
I know.
So we walk the streets, and it was hazardous before with ups and downs of the culverts, or not the culverts, but the curves and so forth. And now with the, I mean, some of it, like Mr. Martin was saying, is this high. So they either made the gutters worse, deeper. So I mean, you can't walk straight across. You got to step down, step up, unless you want to trip and fall. Or where there were no gutters, now there are gutters that you have to take care of. And it's not just downtown or whatever. Even our properties, we have gutters now that we have to maintain the grass that's growing in the gutters. Plus, like I said, the cracks are all over. I see the cracks, the puddles we've had on the streets. Like I said, I walk every day. The puddles are in the same places they were before. So, all that water is seeping down into the, below, into the bed. So that's just my take on what I've seen, walking the streets.
And you're in Ward 1 also?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Off of Northern, yes, off of Northern.
Mr. Martin?
Tim, it's still protocol that each ward that we will ride, so that way you'll be able to have a list of everything, correct?
Absolutely.
You know that. Okay, thank you.
Any other, Mr. Martin, Mr. Tour, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, that was pretty much leading up to my follow-up on my question earlier about sections of pavement that's being removed down to grade. And I'm wondering, should that have been done in these areas where these large cracks are appearing after the pavement's been laid? That's now cracking, were there problems before that should have been addressed to rectify the situation that's occurring with the new pavement?
That's a general question.
Yes.
I'd rather answer specific questions about specific situations. That's why I like to visit the areas with you and look and see what was being done there and compare it to what we did elsewhere. To answer it in general terms, can't do that. I need to know specifically what the problem is that you referred to, and then I can give you an explanation.
Well, these areas where the new pavement is cracking in large gaps, indicating that the sub-base was not replaced perhaps, before the new pavement is put down. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that while the streets are being milled, before we lay the new pavement, that these areas that are subject to cracking with the new pavement are addressed before the new pavement is put down.
Okay.
Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Those are the only action items I have this time.
And there are no discussion items. Anybody have any discussion items for Public Works? Then Public Works will recess.
Thank you. Next, Recreation, Mr. Primo.
Thank you, Mayor. Recreation will convene. First off, we'll have the director's report.
Good afternoon. Flag football and soccer seasons are in full swing. Games will continue through this month and wrap up in early December. Our adult basketball program at Martin Luther King continues on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. We have 3 weeks left in that session. Our adult tennis league continues and we'll be wrapping up in the next 2 weeks. Our youth basketball registration is open and it will be open for the next 6 weeks. We'll be sending out an email blast and bringing flyers to all the area schools. Again, you can go online to register or come and see us at the Rice Festival building. We'll be more than happy to help you out with that process. Our roller skating program continues at Martin Luther King, and because of the growing interest in the program, we are now hosting the event every Friday night from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're averaging right at 100 kids every Friday night. Again, it's free of charge. So bring the kiddos by. I don't know if I enjoy watching the kids or the grown kids, but it smiles all around and it's really fun to watch. It's very satisfying. So thank you to Mr. Smokey Wheeler for heading that up for us. If you passed by the Rice Festival building in the last week or so, you notice that the roof work is going on, and I would expect that that'll wrap up in the next 2 weeks. They're getting after it. It sounds like they're coming through the roof, but they just keep reminding us that it's the sound of progress. So we're moving in the right direction. Also, an update on sponsorship on all the fields. All of our field naming sponsorships have been sold. So I want to thank all of our sponsors. Miller Stadium is Supreme Rice Field at Miller Stadium. Heritage Field is Fizzo's Field, our girls' park, depending on what generation you grew up playing out there. The old Pony Field is now El Dorado's Field. The old Bronco Field is Elder Outreach Field. The Mustang Field is the Southwind Assisted Living Field. Hinskins 1 is Mr. Gaddy's. Hinskins 2 is Lamb Home Health and Hospice. Hinskins 3 is PJ's. And Hinskins 4 is Crawfish Nest. And there is still plenty of opportunity to sponsor, so anyone interested can give me a call or come by and see us. But I wanted to thank those. Those are our major sponsors. So, any questions? Yes, sir.
Okay, out there at MLK Center, I would like to talk to you. My company would like to sponsor that field.
Okay.
Okay. And whatever we have to do to get lights over there, believe you me, money is no object. First of all, I want to thank everybody. I know we had a lot going on Halloween night, but I'm here to tell you, someone told me we had an excess of 400 to 500 kids and adults at the MLK Center that Monday night. I was able to give away close to 100 plus door prizes. We fed the kids. They had chili Fritos, nachos, as well as chili hot dogs, drinks, and chips. I don't think they had the chips. Someone said someone was sticking chips with fentanyl, whatever. But anyway, it is what it is. But Peter, I want to thank the staff for working and doing what they do. And we will be sponsoring this skating on Friday and on Sunday. And if we can get the restrooms, and I know there was a little snafu with that, but Sunday I'm having an open park. We're gonna start going to that park every Sunday.
Okay.
And having an outdoor event. Everybody's invited. We have free food. Just having a good time. We're trying to get it to where it used to be, when everybody would go out and have a good time. Let them bring their barbecue pits or whatever, but we'll have food for everybody. But once again, I just want to thank you and appreciate what you do for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Kim?
Thank you, Chair. Peter, on the agenda, it has update on Bicentennial Park, but you had given us an update last time, and you haven't put anything else in there, have you?
Ms. Joni Shadell came by to the last committee meeting expressing concerns. Myself and my field crew went the next morning, and we got with Mrs. Shadell, and we got with her. We did what we could do. We handled the grass and everything. Trees and drainage are just outside of my department. But everything that we were able to help her with, we took care of.
Thank you. And I actually wanted to ask the street department mayor about, what they had done over there.
They did, actually, Brent went with Mr. Mike Havitz, and Brad is on the 6th Ward drainage. Went with Mr. Mike Havitz, and Mr. Mike Havitz with the 6th Ward drainage said that they cannot dig that ditch anymore. That's as far as they can do. That's what he told me.
Is there any cleanup that they can do in the ditch?
Oh, I'm sure there's probably some.
So,
Six word, that's a 6 word drainage.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Stephen, one other thing, Mr. Rich Hughes has been very vital in getting a ADA compliant ramp over at Levy Park, and I think he had an update that he wanted to give us in recreation.
Rich Hughes, 316 East 4th Street. I represent Crowley's accessibility support for the handicap right now. And Mr. Havitz was waiting for the time for the streets to get ground down and everything, so he can go in and do preliminary cut on the curb. He thought it would be better if he did it then rather than after the streets were paved. I'm sorry? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think it's time to give him the go-ahead, because I know that Rotary has donated the money for it, so I think we're ready to go.
They already donated?
Well, I know that a representative from Rotary has talked to you about it, and I don't know if she brought the check to you. Okay, well, we'll have it to you tomorrow, probably. Okay, and when can we tell Mr. Havitz, or when can someone tell Mr. Havitz to get started?
Absolutely.
No, I mean, the question was when.
As soon as we get the donation confirmed.
Okay, all right, I'll be right on it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Step.
Okay, wait, stand up, right, okay. So you're saying that the Rotary Club has confirmed that they will be
Yeah,
issued?
we have the funds available. We applied for a grant, got the grant, have the
Okay.
money in the bank, and I was under the assumption that they had already wrote the check to the mayor, but they hadn't, so.
Okay, well, Mayor, I mean, we've got to get into the rainy season, okay? Why can't the city okay for him to go ahead and start the process?
We got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm asking the question.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir. Anything else for Rick? I will recess.
Thank you. Zoning and annexation, Mr. Fogelman.
Thank you, Mayor. Zoning and Annexation Committee convened November the 2nd, 4 p.m. A quorum was present. But there was no action items, but Mr. Mayor, do you have anything to provide us? No. And there's no discussion items, so the committee recessed. I'm sorry?
I have something to say.
Please come forward.
Jermaine Robb again.
Let's see if it works.
Jermaine Robb again. My house faces 14th Street. I was here several months ago when you granted a business behind me and said, let you know if there's any problems. And I didn't run to y'all first. I went to try to resolve any issues I had, but there's no one ever there for me to get in contact with. I mean, they did some work there, and then nobody's been there. But they have put, it's not a permanent structure, I don't think, but they have some boards and a platform, and it's almost on my fence. I cannot get to the backside of my fence. I try to be a good neighbor and clean the backside of my fence, so that the neighbors behind me don't have to look at weeds and so forth. But I can't get around there, but I shouldn't do foolish things like that anymore. I try to squeeze in between. So there's a structure right next to my fence. I measured 11 inches.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I mean, what's your address?
501 West 14th Street.
Thank you.
I guess it's still building stuff. They moved everything away from where they fixed everything and made everything pretty, and now it's backed against, it's on their property. But like I said, it's denying me access to the backside of my fence.
I think that's a legal issue as to where your fence sits, whether it's inside or on the property. Typically, fences are put 6 inches within.
But I can't get to the backside of my fence. I don't care where he has this. I just can't get to the backside.
It's a civil.
He's
issue.
denying me access.
It's
Well,
a civil issue.
y'all granted the business there.
Yes.
Conditional
And
use.
you just said, Ms. Rope, that it's on her property,
Yes, but it's denying me access
to their property.
to my property on the other side.
Depends where your fence falls. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to argue with you. It just depends where your fence falls. Yeah, of course.
Ms. Rob, do you know, have they opened their business there, or?
I don't think so. Like I said, there was no action 2 or 3 months after y'all granted. Then there was somebody there doing some business, and now there's been nobody there doing anything.
Well, one of us voted no. So.
Well, I know, but it's still approved. It was still approved, you know, and that's the point I tried to make. She does not live there. And I understand all these other businesses adjoin to their houses. And like one of you commented, they want to be a good neighbor. So they live there, so when there's a problem, they can discuss it. There's no one for me to discuss it with, to resolve any kind of issue, is what I'm saying.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I believe in speaking with in passing with the owner, she's having to go through several different inspections along with their process of construction. So it wasn't just something where she's going to just change a wall in a room or put paint and then they'll have.
I understand that.
So I think there's been a hang up at the state level, certain inspections that she's waiting for. But I can get that, because I speak to her, we seem to get the
I do
process.
clean back there about 4 times a year, each of the seasons. I try to keep it clean, like I said, so the neighbors don't have to look at the ugly, backside of the fence.
And I'm not trying to be argumentative with you. What I'd really suggest is maybe just put a note on the door. Hi, my name is, would you please call me? And I think it's something that could be easily worked out.
I thought about that, but like I said, in the last several weeks, there's been, about 3 weeks, there's been nobody there.
It might take a while. I think she would call you.
But see, I didn't make the problem. See, now I have something I gotta attend to. Thank you for listening to me.
You're welcome.
Jim.
Mr.
Is there anything else?
I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Ms. Rob,
Yes.
you had stated that a building was put within 11 inches of the
No, it's not
property.
a building. It's a temporary structure. I mean, it looks like there's 4 poles. I mean, I have it on my phone. I took pictures.
Okay.
4 poles. They have partial flooring. I'm sure they're storing stuff on it.
Right now, and
I'm assuming it's temporary.
and what came to mind is that we have setback requirements
5
within
feet,
the
yeah.
zoning, that
Yeah.
structures can't be built
Yeah.
within so many feet of the
Right.
property line, so that would be a code
And
enforcement.
it may be temporary, and like I said, I understand a person enjoying their property rights, but their enjoyment of their property ends where mine begins. And like I said, I cannot get around to the backside of my fence. Like I said, I couldn't put a gate, I didn't want to put a gate in every, because I have fencing on 4 sides of my house. I mean, I can't put a gate every one, so I can have access to where I want to get. Thank you.
Mr. Martin?
Okay, Brad, you hit it on the head. Now, we have a ordinance, and it's through reserve statute with the state of Louisiana, the building code, that you got a 5-foot buffer, whether it's temporary or not. Okay, they have to go by the 5-foot buffer. That's in our ordinance, that's under reserve statute. So whether it's temporary or not, has nothing to do with the price itself. Okay, so ma'am, you got a right, whether, like Lyle said, the civil matter, but at the end of the day, it's going against the legal side of the ordinance. Okay, you got to have a 5-foot buffer between property lines. And if it's less than that, well, guess what? You have an argument where, I don't know how you're gonna get code enforcement out there, but it's his job to make her take it down. Okay? So I know you've been trying to reach people, but at the end of the day, that's a violation of our law. All right? And the other thing, what I want to make this council aware of, I will be petitioning the legislators this year, well, next year, that we do away with the, let's give you a general idea. If I own a lot, and it's my personal lot, and we have in our ordinance that the 3 properties side that's touching has to sign off on this, okay? I got a commitment from the Legislative Black Caucus as well as 2 other caucuses. The reason why that is, because what makes it not germane to the subject is that if I don't like that person, if I don't sign that, if I'm one of the touching properties, they can't be it, okay? Everybody understand what I'm saying? So if I do not like that person, whether they building a $100,000 house or $10 million house, if I don't sign that touching property, they can't build, or they can't put anything there. Okay, that's a violation of what we call your civil rights. If you own a property, and that's how we're going into it in federal court. If you own a property, you should be able to do what you want to do to your property. As a person that owns lots of property all through the state, okay, I know, I go through this all the time, okay? So we have a situation over here in Crowley. This young lady, Golden Bernard, she's been trying to put a trailer on the property that's been trailered there for years. And one property owner, whatever is his excuse, does not want to sign. Okay, but she owns the property outright. So I'm just letting the council know that the city of Crowley, well, Steph Martin will be one of the persons that's going to be pushing this. Because it's a violation of anybody's civil right. Just like with her property, if it's violation of the 5-foot buffer zone, she should have remedy for that. And we do have remedy.
Thank you.
Okay,
I think
but
that's
I just wanted to let y'all know.
information. Is there anything else to come before the committee? If not, we recess.
Thank you. Next is public safety, and before we get into that, if you'll look under public safety, there is going to be a lot of applications. We had to make a lot of copies today, so I'm gonna ask each and every one of you to make sure that you hold on to your copies for next week. We are not gonna make those again. So please hang on to it.
Thank you.
Please hang on to it. We are not making. Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call to order the Public Safety Committee. We have quorum present with Alderman Rutledge absent. Before we begin, we have recognize Mr. Gerald Johnson, who would like to address the committee. State your name and your address, Mr. Johnson, please.
You just turn it on.
My name is Gerald Johnson. My address is 1842 Crowley, Louisiana. 1842 Grace P. Street, Crowley, Louisiana. Sorry. How you doing today? I'm a citizen of Crowley, Louisiana for almost 41 years. On yesterday, I attended Crowley Middle School to drop off my son to attend school. I've been rearing him all my life and teaching him right from wrong. And we come upon a situation where we arrived to school, we was advised that the school was on lockdown. Advised that the school was on lockdown, we planned on waiting until the advisory was over, that we can go inside the school and let him attend. I was advised that a black male with black hoodie on was a suspect that was walking with a gun around the school area. So, I say a matter of 4 minutes after that, me and my son was chilling on the side of the building on Avenue D by the truck. He was sitting on the driver's side. I was standing on the outside. The substitute teacher that was in our vehicle was sitting in her vehicle. understood what the situation was going on and asked us to just wait right here. So while we waited, 2 officers pulled up, badge number 4 and 5, pulled up straight immediately out their vehicle. They drew guns on me and my son, running towards me and my son, telling me to get on the ground without any identification asked for or anything, telling my son to get back in his effing truck on the side he's supposed to be on. With guns pointed at him, I raised my hands, got on the ground, and abided by the rules. While on the ground, I was asked for my ID. I asked, what is the suspicion that I have to give my ID? I don't need to have no suspicion. I say, what's the description? Even though I knew what was going on, I asked what the description was that you was looking for, which I already had knew. She said, we don't need to have no description. You go give me your ID. In front of my son, while they was running up to me, they tell me, my son is hollering in traumatic state of mind, don't shoot my dad. Don't shoot my dad. 3, 4 times, don't shoot my dad. And she curses him out to get in on the other side of this truck. I get on the ground. I gave him my name. That wasn't good enough. Put your hands behind your back. You're going to be arrested. What am I being arrested for? Couldn't tell, because you're not listening to me. I gave him my name. I gave him my name, and as I've given my name, I asked, why haven't you checked this lady that's a substitute teacher ID or asked her for information? Just out of me asking that person, they asked the lady for her ID, didn't look at the ID, gave it back to her and just let her go about her business. Walked past me and asked me, would you like to get up now? And I'm like, I'm embarrassed. I just used the bathroom on myself. I'm embarrassed in front of my son because I was trying to follow the right rules, which I knew I wasn't a suspect, which the principal and a lot of parents that was on the outside of the building and us around and let us know what was the process, what was going on. That's why we was on the side of the school. Now I have a son that I have to deal with constantly asking, Daddy, are you gonna be all right if you go outside? Daddy, are you go to school now? I can't answer all these questions and have fear for my life and given the constitutional right to say that I don't have to identify myself if I'm not being accused of anything that's going on and you have a description of what's going on. The description was gave out that it was a black male in a black hoodie. I had a blue hoodie on with some yellow LSU shorts with some blue shoes on. No way I fit the description of them jumping out the vehicle, not cordially come and ask a parent, what is for your ID or anything. Instead, you get out your car, run towards me and my son with your guns pointed. You could have failed. You could have shot. You could have even injured me. Just come and force yourself on me in that type of manner. And my constitutional rights, I feel like it was violated because, first off, I'm a citizen that pays my taxes. I work. I take care of my son by myself with a community help of family members, community leaders, and my mom, she's a community leader. And I know that she goes through tireless time to then raise me, to teach me to respect my officials. And that's everything that I've been doing for 41 years in Crowley, Louisiana. But this is not the first time that this situation has happened in Crowley, Louisiana with me. And I will not be scared to walk down these streets as a citizen, and I will not let nobody come to my son and put fear in his life at a school that he's supposed to be well protected and know the situation that's going on, and we can't do nothing about it. I feel that it's wrong for my constitutional rights to be violated just because, not just the color of my skin, personally, because if you got the description of a person, you know the description before you came on that scene. And for you to not use common sense to say this person does not have a black hoodie on. Yes, he's a black male, but he does not fit the description. When you got the call, you shouldn't have came on this property and abuse my rights and violate my son to have to deal with my son and treat him in a such manner of to not be scared to go places. And I don't feel it's right. So I care to come here tonight and ask what can be done to talk to these officers or even try to put in an aspect of every person that's black and that's a black male in this community is not a violent or criminal or a person that's not trying to do good for this community.
I'm a volunteer football coach at the middle school. And if she would have came up to me cordial and asked me, sir, would you mind giving me your ID? Or what are you doing here? She did not do that. She jumped out of the car with guns blazing as a tyrant. It's basically what they done to me. Put me on the ground illegally, search me. And then after my phone is on the ground, and, do you have a gun? And now you can get up. But how embarrassed I was to try to even get up off this ground, full of my feces on myself, shame, because somebody put fear in my heart and knew the situation that was going on before they got to this campus. And I have to sit there and live with this every day of my life now till my son gets out of school, till my son gets out in the community, and hope that he respects officials the same way I respect them, even though this situation happened.
Right.
Ms. Johnson, I'm extremely sorry that you and your son had to endure this. I don't know all the details, but this would be certainly something that Chief Broussard is under his department. Chief Broussard, if you have any response.
Mr. Johnson and I actually spoke before the meeting. We are awaiting the video as well. There was a lot of aspects, for those who weren't aware, it was because of a quote-unquote active shooter or person with a weapon in the close proximity of the school. And I explained to him in the original call, it just stated black male with a hoodie. It came later with the colors, but I do want to see the video and review the video.
Excuse me. In a police statement, it was stated at 7:53, this call came out. At 7:54, by 7:54 and 7:55, officers was reported to come towards this scene. At 7:56, the suspect was dressed in all black, was called out to these people. At 7:57, my name came, as they jumped out the truck, they came to me. At 8 o'clock, I refused to identify myself. So how and why should I still have to, why should I have to identify myself at 8 o'clock when you got the call of the description of the suspect while we were standing on this premises? I seen the police officers go to 14th Street to arrest this person. So in a matter of time of these officers getting on the campus and we standing on the side of the building, it was way after they had the description of the suspect. And with me in the color that I have on, shouldn't have been a problem with me standing up here waiting to bring my son to school.
Okay, right.
But again, Ms. Johnson, we don't preside over the police department's activities, and certainly under the chief. And I would have to defer you to work with the chief to resolve the situation that occurred. Because to tell the video and all of that, both sides of the story, if you will, or present it to chief, it's.
Do I need to have statements? Because I have a few statements that encounter this same aspect of this law right here on social media from parents sitting there watching this same instance happen and seeing how traumatic the situation was and the situation, hoping that they had the right description of the person, not on this ground, traumatizing this parent's child.
Yes, right. Statements, anything would be directed toward Chief Broussard, so the department. Mr. Martin.
All right, okay. First of all, just for the record, Mr. Johnson called, well, his mother called me last.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday, it was yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. And I informed him to come in front of this council. I didn't want to hear too much about it. I told him, let this be heard, and he can attest to what I told him. I said, now the chief, I told him the chief would be here.
Yes, sir.
Okay? I don't know what happened, but I just heard something that I'm real troubled about. Did y'all hear what he just said? They said that it was a black male in a black hoodie or a dark colored hoodie. Now, okay, on black hoodie. I don't know if you realize what you just said. If it would have been somebody with yellow shorts, that should have been the trigger. He had yellow shorts on, okay? Not, he had a black hoodie. He also had yellow shorts on, okay? If all they seen was a black hoodie and dark clothing, that could not be him. he had on yellow shorts. You follow what I'm saying? Okay, so when him and I spoke, I told him, listen, bring all your facts, am I correct?
Correct.
Bring all your facts to the council, and I told the chief that you were coming, okay? One of the problems that I'm having here, if he would have been in all dark color clothing, well, that's, shall we say, the cost of doing business. All right, we were told they were a black male, black clothing. Okay, whoever you see like that, take him down. All right, but this gentleman had on yellow shorts, so that should have been a trigger. I think if anybody would have seen a person walk around with a gun with yellow shorts, they wouldn't say he had a hoodie, they would say he had yellow shorts. So that's the reason why I had him come before the council. And Chief, I know you're gonna do the right thing with everything, but, Mr. Johnson, let's wait till everything is said and done.
Yes, sir.
But what you mentioned right there, that's the only thing that I'm clicheing is, okay, you're looking for a person, and don't get me wrong, I want the police officers to do their job, especially when there's call about a shooter. Please get there as quick as possible. But in the midst of identifying someone, I think it should be more credible if they would identify that person. If in fact, if it was just dark clothing, well, that's identification. But having loud colors, and I call loud colors, whether it's white, yellow, whatever it may be, that's the trigger right here. Okay? If they would have said that there was a black male with a hoodie with yellow shorts, okay, and they would have pulled up on a person with a black male with a hoodie with yellow shorts, well, chances are we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Okay?
And Steph, I appreciate what you're saying, and please, Ms. Johnson, if you want Alderman Martin to accompany you,
I
discuss these things with Chief, you know.
Can I also ask, what's the process of a person getting asked for identification in the state of Louisiana or in Crowley, Louisiana?
I can answer
That's
that. Not before this council, people. This is a police matter. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I call the question on this.
We don't-
There's too much going to be said at this point that maybe should not be.
And he's an attorney, so I think we need to listen to that.
It's not relevant.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Matt.
Mr. Chair, I do respect, and Mr. Johnson, we thank you for coming in and expressing your feelings and your concerns. However, there's nobody here on trial, and this is a proceeding for our city council committee. And we think and we feel that Mr. Johnson was allowed enough time to be able to elaborate on his concerns. So we thank you very much. Mr. Court?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Captain Osborne, Crowley Police Department. Am I allowed to address the council?
About this matter?
But not about this matter.
Same matter.
No, I think this is more for police department business versus council business.
Well, only thing I'd like to say, I was one of the officers involved in this. I would invite any of you to please watch the video.
Video and audio
Thank you.
from radio call.
Thank you.
Good enough.
All right, we'll move on to Chief of Police Jim Broussard's report.
And again, I reiterate, Mr. Johnson, I know you're in the audience, please, willing to work with you over this. Once we get the videos, I have contacted the superintendent for the videos, so we're just awaiting those to come in from the school itself.
And Chief, if possible, I'd like to, like the chair said, accompany.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
In the month of October, we responded to approximately 800 calls for service. 133 citations were issued in the city during the month of October, with 33 of those being traffic citations. 10 tickets were written in the month of October, and 38 other criminal and crash citations were issued. Narcotics had 5 arrests. In the month of September,
You may want to get your officers to be on this, suspect this. They may be a
Continue, Mr.
Well,
Court.
we will
Chief
move
Romero.
on to Fire Chief Louis Romero.
Fire Chief Louis Romero.
No, let him do his business. That's, yeah, I guess, let him do his business. But no, it's not.
Good afternoon. I think everybody got a copy. It was a slow month last month. We had 37 calls. Of those calls, we had 9 fire alarms. 5 EMS, 3 grass fires, 2 assist PD, 4 hazmats, 1 vehicle accident, 2 trash fires, and 1 vehicle fire. With the average response time for October, 2 minutes and 56 seconds. We are 100% out of the 560 North Avenue Health location, and we are 100% into the newly renovated central station. So, any questions?
I got one for you, Mr. Chair. What about the building that we done paid? How long have y'all been in that building? The building that y'all was using?
I think Mr. Martin will be in that building this month, next 6 years.
6 years. And just for the record, how much was the monthly rent on it?
$1,000 a month.
So that's 12. Okay, is there any way, Mr. Chair, I don't know what's protocol, Mayor, I don't know what's protocol, but is there any way we could probably get with the landowner, homeowner would have, and go into some type of discussion to buy that building with, the applied rent taken off or whatever? Maybe he might owe us a check. Okay? I'm just saying, is there any way we can talk to the landowner, and that would be an administrative task right here, to try and see if there's a way that this building can be sold to the city of Crowley, whether we give him a tax credit or whatever it may be. Because, the building can be used for something, right? That's something y'all can use the building for.
Building needs a lot of repairs.
A lot of repairs?
A lot of repairs.
So we get the building for a little, as a donation, we're ahead of the game. I'm just using those terms.
Mr. Martin, we may want to put that on next month's agenda.
That's not a problem, but hey,
But
look.
I appreciate the
All right.
request.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Chief Romero?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief Russo is back.
Okay. Chief Broussard, would you like to continue?
Yes, sir. Our narcotics division had 5 arrests in the month of October. We're still down 5 patrol officers. However, we have hired one to replace the employee who has left. Laptops for the unit should be in anytime. And detectives with CID and Safety Pub visited the Head Start on Halloween Day to talk about trick-or-treat safety. Crowley Police also handed out candy at the city's Nightmare on Mill Street on Halloween night, which was a huge success.
Thank you, Chief. Alderman Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Court, for letting me address your committee. I know I'm not on it, but I also got some calls, or a call about some situations at Crowley Middle, and it made me think that, so my son is the disciplinarian at Crowley High, and they have a resource officer there who is a tremendous help, and he also interacts with the kids. And, I've been hearing a lot of talk about how we need to get out in the community and interact with the kids, from the police department. Wouldn't this be an ideal opportunity to have a resource officer at Crowley Middle to interact with the kids and also assist and be on there when fights break out or anything else happens? Would that be something that would be possible? And I don't know if it's the school board or whatever, but I think that would be a wonderful opportunity for the police department to interact with the kids and assist the people, the staff at.
Yes, sir. And just to clarify, Alderman, it's technically more security because a resource officer is specially trained and they have special things that they can do that regular officers can't. I know that because I'm certified as a school resource officer. We actually have 4 in our department. 2 of them are in CID. 1 is leaving us in December, and then I'm the 4th. However, without saying too much, we are working on something, particularly with Crowley Middle, that will show or give more of a presence of the police department on the school grounds. Hopefully within the next month, it should be materializing and starting. If not, definitely by the beginning of the year.
Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor?
Yeah, the chief and I have talked about it as well, and he is visiting with Mr. Richard, the superintendent, about what Mr. Craig was referring.
Thank you.
I guess the chief would be, the resource officer at Crowley High, is that the sheriff department?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so
yeah.
what the council is, the council is pertaining to, is that we use our city police officer?
Yeah.
As
Yes,
resource?
that's-
Okay, yeah, that'd be fantastic. Okay, somebody that didn't know, I got you, yeah, good point, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Next, we're going to City Inspector Tony Duhon. Mr. Duhon reported that he was ill this afternoon and did not have a report for me to read to the committee. Under action items, to consider the following permits for the 2023 beer and liquor licenses, and we have several presented. Mayor, I have a couple of questions on, I think, the second to last page. We have two identified as Fat Boy Incorporated. The second one listed refers to the name of Todd Leonard's, and I think that business is Southside Kitchen.
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, which page?
The second to last of the list of,
That board?
yeah, you have two Fat Boy Incorporated listed.
Just hold on.
The lower one with the name Todd Leonard's is actually, and I'll have to look at the application and see.
It's Todd Leonard's, it is Southside Kitchen,
Yeah, this is that application.
and that might have been, was on the application, so we can make those corrections.
Right, just make sure that we get that correct.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
It's corrected on this document.
Is fixed.
Mine's only have one.
Oh, yeah, it's
There's only one,
fixed.
there's only one location.
Yeah.
There's only one Fat Boy that I'm seeing.
Right.
Yeah.
And Chief, have you reviewed the background checks on these applicants?
Yes, sir, I have, and when you call them out, I also have the list of calls to each business.
That would be the list of complaints, okay?
Yes.
And I haven't gotten that for review, or the committee hasn't received it. Could that be emailed to us before next week?
And Southside Kitchen is on
I guess so.
Because previously we had an email to us to review. the-
Well, and that's when we had 2 or 3, but that's why I kind of brought the whole staff to, as you would call them out, I was gonna kind of give you what we had, but, it can be emailed, that's not a problem.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I think we can review it before, if that's available, before next
Sure.
week.
Maybe just to the public safety. committee?
Yeah, I would imagine just the public safety committee.
Yeah, it's gonna go to council for approval, and I'd like to have those for discussion,
Okay.
for the full council to review. The other question I had,
You want to let them do the worst ones?
Let me do the numbers.
You can do the worst ones.
yeah,
My recommendation is that the chief email that to you since you're the chair of public safety, so that way you can review it and it can be discussed if we have to at the council
yes,
meeting.
that was my intention.
Yes, to avoid the sunshine violation.
Yes. Chief, we have, or Mayor, we have 2 applications for Dollar General number 2187. One is for a 2023, and one below it for the same location for 2022.
Yes, we had to do that.
Has this establishment been selling alcohol in 2022 this year?
Yeah, without notification, but we went by and ceased and desist.
What's the address on it?
And they're not selling it right now until the week past is, and they are gonna pay just like Tokyo, Japan did.
And fines that are
Same
applicable?
thing, same
Okay.
exact way.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right. With that said, I move these to the full council for approval, subject to review of the complaints before next council meeting.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Okay. Seconded by Alderman Primo. Discussion, Mr. Martin.
Okay. Let's move on again. Okay, are we okaying these, applications tonight?
No, they're just moving to the full council. Or it's just a committee moving these to the full council.
That's it.
So we're not approving anything other than moving it to the full council.
Wait. I understand what you're saying, but we either give a yea or nay on these applications.
And I've just made a motion to approve them.
But you have to, by law, you have to read each one of them.
It's just a committee, and
I
that
do
can
not.
happen, at council.
Well, why would it happen at council if you can do it now? Only thing you need to bring to your council, your full council, is approval as read. Okay?
And we have done this in the past in local, as written, with the correction that is noted.
It's your chair, okay, all right, okay. There's gonna be some kickback on this.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right?
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is to amend section 830, curfew for minors of the Code of Ordinances, changing the age of minors from under the age of 17 to under the age of 18 years pursuant to current state law. And I've presented a copy of the ordinance 730. I think the agenda is incorrect. It says 830, it should be section 730.
Yeah, that's.
With the change at the top.
Yeah.
And I'd like to move to have the city attorney prepare a resolution to amend the ordinance for consideration by the full council.
Offered.
That, Bob? Okay. And we can bring it up. I just don't know if, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion there.
I just don't know if Mr. Reagan, I'm hoping that he would be able to have this for you by next council. I'm just talking about to set a date to introduce this ordinance.
Okay, yes, sir.
That's what I'm hoping he can have that ready for you, for the next council meeting.
Okay, we've discussed this previously. And,
Yes.
He said it should be pretty straightforward.
Awesome.
Just a few things that need to be added. Mr. Capella?
And I just want to say that's in line with state law, right?
Yes.
No. Mr. Chair,
I mean, yes, ma'am.
before we go any further, you need to move that this be taken off an action item and go to discussion, because this is listed as an action item, okay? That means our vote is proven to pass it of this. So if you're gonna take it from an action item tonight,
It's an action item for the city attorney to amend the ordinance.
right, but he just said, we won't have no word on this until next meeting, not the meeting coming up, okay? What you need to do is move this from an action item to a discussion item. That way your bases are covered. Because the next meeting that this thing's supposed to be taken care of, if it goes by protocol, is next Wednesday.
Right, and Mr. Reagan said, when I spoke to him, that he can have this
Oh,
prepared.
that's fine. Well, he said something about our next month's meeting. Okay, I'm good with it.
Right,
Yeah,
next
thank
week's
you.
meeting.
Right.
Okay, any further discussion? Thank you. On the discussion items, I'm sorry. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Stringfellow. On the discussion items, we have automated speed enforcement within school zones by Blue Line Solutions for possible action. Last month, as if you were present, representatives of Blue Line Solutions gave a presentation to the council regarding a photo speed enforcement program within school zones. Their 5-day study indicated significant speeding is occurring within school zones and offered to enter into a contract to install speed cameras at no cost to the city. These cameras also include license plate readers that can be activated for use 24 hours a day to assist the police department. I believe this program will enhance public safety within our school zones and move to have the city attorney prepare a resolution approving this program for consideration by the full council. You have a second?
I'll second it. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, we are ready.
Just a discussion.
Okay, I got a question. Since you had, and one thing I do is appreciate when a council member does his job, and you've definitely done your job with this. What's your recommendation to the council as chair? You had a chance to sit down with him.
Right.
How do you feel about it?
I think it's a definite enhancement to public safety,
Okay.
with the numbers of speeders that I have copies of each location.
Listen, I read it, and I was astounded. Matter of fact, I might have been one of the ones that might have been, or might not have been speeding. I can say it. You know, and it's a good thing, because passing in front of Ross, it's, I don't know what it is, man, but it's like, you don't think that it's a school. And before you look at it, you're doing 20, you say, oh, well, I'm speeding. But listen, I listen to them, and I listen to you, and I have to say that you've done your homework. I got to give you props. You do your homework. And so whatever way that you want to go with this, you definitely have my vote. So I appreciate it, because I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but from reading it, and when they brought up the fact that it had that many people just in front of Ross that was speeding, I was astounded at that. So, but I just wanted to let you know that whatever you decide you want to go with, you have my vote with it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Next step,
Mr. Chair, I know it's a discussion, but I know that you and I have discussed that already, that we need to speak with King Fair School Board and DOTD as well.
well, I was gonna get to that. Chief Broussard has spoken to, Mr. Scott Richard, the superintendent. And Chief, you wanna?
Yes, I had a discussion with him, just, telling him that the council was presented this, and they were just considering, not going any further, but they've just been presented with it. From my understanding too, he was quite aware of it, because I think IOTA was looking at it at one point. I don't know if it was implemented or not, but I know Mr. Reagan actually, being their city attorney as well, did the work for the ordinance and everything. So he says, yes, I'm very aware of it. He also reminded me that they're gonna be changing the lights in one of the speed limit signs on Parkinson for Crowley Kindergarten, so.
And if anyone wants to review the results, I have a copy of them.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Martin.
this observation right here. Mr. Mayor, you just used the term that we have to talk to the school board as well as Department of Transportation. No, we don't. The city of Crowley owns the streets. Okay, the city of Crowley. That's a public safety thing. Okay? I don't know why we're not on Parkinson. Well, then we have to talk to DOTD.
We do have one school, Crowley Kindergarten is on Parkinson, but it's police.
But we're talking about Ross Head Start. We're talking about all the schools.
All the schools.
All the schools?
Yes, sir.
All the schools.
Oh, but that's, I apologize, I thought we were just talking about Ross, okay? So basically, we're gonna do all the schools in the city, even the ones, what is that?
Even the private schools and
Oh, okay.
The private schools, wherever a school zone is, that's where they will implement this program.
But once again, kudos to you, I thought we were just talking about Ross, and so, but, at the end of the day, this is something right here that would really, now, doesn't take, I'm just asking the question. So if they speeding, it actually takes, I know they had one in Lafayette that would send you, and I got one, so I know it works. So that's how it works? They would
Yes,
actually,
sir.
so, okay.
Yes, sir. It would-
Okay.
The good part with theirs is they do about 350 feet to 500, correct me if I'm wrong, Jared. But prior to the camera, there's a sign that says speed limit is such and such, your speed. So there's a warning prior to you approaching the camera.
Hey, that makes sense. All right, well, I thought we were talking strictly.
But no, it does. It sends you the picture and it gives you the video link to show.
Good enough, then. Okay, thank you.
And I did speak to the representative today about the license plate readers. And certainly, that picks up the speeding vehicle, but also it's activated 24/7. So if there is an incident that occurs that you need to find out which cars pass through a certain school zone that may have been involved in a crime, those license plate readers can record that and provide that to the police department.
This is like guys on the road.
Thank you. Next item will be the replacement sidewalks removed in Meyer Park, located along East 7th and 8th Streets at intersections of North Avenue I and J. Mayor, 6 months ago, more or less, there was about 300 linear feet of sidewalk removed in the park. Has not been replaced, and I'm trying to find out what efforts we have to get that replaced as soon as possible.
We do have it on the books.
Will that be the city doing it or our city's contractor?
We're hoping for the city to do it.
And then we have the funding and materials available?
Just to get to it.
Yes, sir, because the neighborhood.
And if we have to, if we see where we're not gonna be able to get time, yes, we'll get a private contractor.
Okay. Ms. Stringfellow?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to, there was a little piece of sidewalk, Mayor, by the Parkerson Baptist Church. If we could add on, when we do that, Parkerson Baptist Church.
North Parkinson at what, 13?
12.
Yes.
Parkinson Avenue Baptist?
Yes, sir. And I think, DOTD had done some work or something. I don't know if I was ever clear on who did the work there.
I'll check. I think
Okay.
it was them.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And to further the discussion with the sidewalks, I think Alderman Crater wanted to discuss dangerous sidewalks around the city and solutions to correct them. Mr. Crater?
Yes, well, I think we all know that the sidewalks around the city are pretty much in deplorable shape, and it's actually a danger, and I'm, kind of concerned that you know, if somebody gets hurt on the sidewalk, we may have lawsuits or whatever. So I just wonder if we could possibly, maybe you could get your grant writer to try and get a grant to repair some of these sidewalks that are in bad shape, especially the ones that are used a lot, like the ones going to schools, going to parks, and different things like that. Because, I mean, we all know we have a tree problem in Crowley too, but that doesn't, I don't think, it's not an excuse for the way our sidewalks are around town. So anyway, I would just like to maybe pursue a grant or something to repair some of these sidewalks that are in such bad shape.
And ma'am, it's been, basically the process of removing damn sidewalks, but they're not being replaced. And I've got residents in Ward 1, the historic district in the north, that depend on these sidewalks. They're up in their 80s and 90s, trying to walk, they're having to walk in the street surface. One elderly resident, she can't get her newspaper because there's no sidewalk if the paper is not dropped right on the sidewalk that extends to the street. So anything you can do to get this type of improvement made, I appreciate it.
Okay, and if I may, it's kind of a lengthy conversation that I have, but way back when in 2018, when we were all elected, we were all invited to Mr. Crater's, and there was a figure that we were all given by Mater Engineering of an estimate to redo all the sidewalks in the city of Crowley, along with all of the street enhancement project, or the street overlay project, and the drainage project. And just the sidewalk project was $9.8 million alone at that point. And then, as a councilman, as all of us, because we did this prior to y'all becoming officially a council member, and y'all all in favor of not doing it because of the expense that it was going to cost. And there was no way that the city could afford all that at that time. So, but I do agree with you. However, we ought to look into that, and I agree with Mr. Crater. We ought to look into possibly getting some grants. And what we have been doing is there are some residents around Crowley who have asked us to remove the sidewalk because it did pose a hazard, you know, adjacent to their property. And we did remove the sidewalks, and they did not want them put back. There were some that did not want them put back. And we did offer them that if they wanted it put back, we would replace it, but at their cost, okay? And they would be glad to pay for the material. We have done a few, and they pay for the material. But just let you know, that's what we have done.
And Mayor, you know, I understand the cost to replace all the sidewalks in the city is significant, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just
The ones that
areas,
are really bad, yeah.
the ones that are damaged. Well, if you remove them, take them, replace them. And regarding whether a property owner wants or not, these sidewalks serve the general public, just like a street does. And you have, particularly in my neighborhood, elderly residents that depend on those sidewalks for walking. Now they're walking in the street and have been. And I don't think it's up to the property owner to determine whether they want a sidewalk in front of the house. I think it's up to the city, because it is within the city-owned property. And I think that it's incumbent upon the city to provide safe sidewalks for pedestrian travel.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your efforts in the area, and please continue with getting something done. Mr. Cabell.
I would like to iterate that being, basically living on a whole block where two sides behind and on the east side has sidewalks, I personally would wish they weren't there because it is either the sidewalk or the trees. And as it stands now, there's one that's so bad that it's actually lifted up the sidewalk at least 6 inches. So if we're going to complain about streets and shaving down 3-4 inches, well, we've got trees. You're going to cut a tree down, or you get rid of a sidewalk. The two aren't going to marry. They were great when the trees were saplings, but now that they've grown trees, it ain't going to happen.
And certainly there are areas where the trees extend all the way to the curb, and those can be exceptions, of course. But there are multiple places that these sidewalks can be shifted over closer to the street surface to get away from the tree roots. Okay, next we'll go to meeting minutes not posted to the city's website since January 12th, 2022 for public viewing. Mayor, the minutes are on the city website.
They are posted, we did have a glitch, were we able to correct it today? No, it still wasn't. So Gibson PC is looking into it.
Okay.
We're just finding out about it ourselves. And, as a matter of fact, Glenn today brought up the January minutes, and it allowed him to bring it up,
That's,
but the rest of them, it did
well,
not.
that's the last one I could access. The other ones are listed.
Yeah, they're all listed.
File attached to the link.
That's correct. So we're just finding that out today as well. So Glenn was working on it with Gibson's PC to try to get that right.
Okay, great, thank you. Next, number 5, to get status of implementation of administrative hearing procedure, ordinance 1516, that was enacted April 2021 by the council, and the appointment of a hearing officer by the mayor. Mayor, can you give us an update on?
I don't have an update at this point. It's being worked on, but I do not have an update at this second.
Have you considered appointment of a hearing officer?
Mm-hmm.
Has that person accepted a position?
We are waiting also on Mr. Reagan as well. Mr. Reagan is looking into the actual contract to be able to write it up.
I mean, it's been 18 months, the police jury enacted theirs within about a 6 to 7 month period. And if,
They acted theirs, but they're not.
yes, they are. Parker Mitchell is.
Yes, I know he is, but are they actually practicing?
Well, they're ready to go.
Okay.
And and if, and just a recommendation to you to reach out maybe to Parker Mitchell, since he's already involved in the process and is familiar with it, and see if he would be interested, and certainly if, I would give my input on any other attorneys that may be interested to you. Just anything we can do to get this process completed, it would be great.
Okay.
And then next, number 6, to receive an update on citywide street signs throughout the city of Crowley. Alderwoman Kim Stringfellow made that request.
We were doing them, we had to stop, we short few people, and we had to concentrate on some other things, and we're getting ready to get back on that next week.
And the signs been made?
They're already in our warehouse.
Okay. And is there anything else to go on, Mr. Martin?
Well, 2 things. One, Ms. Mayfield, you want to stand up right there?
Oh, yes, sir.
State your name and your address, please, and I'm going to reiterate.
Shirley Mayfield, 910 West 11th Street in Crowley. I've been having a problem with the property next door to my house. I contacted Kim. He came to my house and looked at it. The problem's been going on now for going on 2 years. The people that were living there, the man died and the lady got moved to Abigail or Kaplan. Anyway, they came. I've been having problems with snakes, possums, and rats. One of the Tonys came, or 2 of them came. There was 2 at that time. One came, anyway, they came. They needed to get the grass cut, but they couldn't because they had started tearing down the house. So there were planks and nails and everything. So they decided they were gonna have to bring in a small bulldozer. They bulldozed everything up into one big pile.
Push it to the back.
Now, they can cut the grass, but now, all of the pile of junk is there. My yard man killed a snake not long ago. I sent them a picture of that. Rats, that's possum that's being killed. I mean, they're all over the place. They're all in my yard. I can't let my grandchildren play outside. I don't let them go on that side. It's not really a wide space to go anyway. But I've been fighting this for going on 2 years. All I hear is in court, or we have to, they have to give it to people because it's family property, there's too many heirs or something involved in it. That's not, first of all, when they bulldoze all this stuff up together, that didn't make sense to me. Because then everything is just getting in the building, in the wood, and just staying there. So now I have this problem, and I'm not getting any help. And like I said, I've been in touch with Mr. Dunion, I've been in touch with Steph, I've contacted him. Everybody, I just need to know what's gonna be done. They told me something about it being, on the demolition.
Okay, if I may? First of all, I want to thank Kim At that time, we had just done the redistricting at the time. And Kim was handling everything until Ms. Mayfield called me, I think, well, it was Kim, and told me about what was going on. So it was new to her that we had changed district, okay? And the first thing when I got there, she showed me what was what, and Kim had sent a copy of the snake, a picture of the snake. And I personally, she tried to get poison, I personally brought up poison, rat poison, to her home. The problem is, they went, cut the grass, they tore down the building, like she said, instead of them picking up the debris and bringing it to the landfill, just imagine, this is it, they just pushed it to the back, okay? So now the rats and possums and everything don't have a home in the front, but now they got a mansion in the back. Okay, it is what it is, okay? If you go look at the property, it should have been picked up. And this been kicking down the road for a minute, and that's why I told her to come to the city council meeting, because what's happening right here, you know, we're getting to a point now where they can't find no one in code enforcement. You go there personally, hell, I went there personally, and no one came out, okay? So at the end of the day, either we're gonna clean it up, or we're gonna pay whatever it takes to alleviate not only her pain and suffering, because it's basically pain and suffering. All right, she has to get up in the morning, she can't let her kids go out and play, she can't let her animals go out and play, because of snakes and whatever. So one thing that she is asking, and I'm asking it as well as Kim, and I've heard Kim's on the same wavelength, but let's get it cleaned up. The manpower it took to take it from the front and put it to the back should have been the manpower to pick it up and put it on the truck. Make sense? Okay, well,
Straight fellow.
look, Kim, you remember who done it?
No, the city workers didn't do that. That was the
Contractor.
the homeowners, I think, that did that. Yeah,
Okay.
pushed it together. But, as y'all all remember, I don't know if y'all remember, I think it was a couple of months ago, but I sent everybody copies of all the
Exactly.
pictures that I took. And I also sent them to Tony and I sent them to the mayor. So that's what I do when, a citizen has a concern. I take pictures, y'all all seen my famous documentation on my pictures. And I try to send them to everybody concerned, and I send out copies at least to the people that are in the ward. And like Steph said, I thought she was still in my ward, but as soon as I figured out Ms. Mayfield wasn't in my ward, I turned it over to Steph Martin. So, but hopefully, thank you for coming tonight, and we'll hopefully get it.
Thank y'all
taken
so
care
much.
of.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield.
Any other business before the Public Safety Committee? Any recesses?
Public buildings, Mr. Woodward isn't here, Ms. Stringfellow?
Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Chair, I would like to amend the Public Building Committee agenda to add an action item,
Okay.
or possibly discussion, we'll see how it goes. To consider the approval of City Judge Trahall's request to pay $1,454.75 for moving of files and enterprise building for storage, and refer to Revenue and Finance for approval.
I'll second that. You made the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda and a second. Any discussion?
Wait, oh, no, you're amending the agenda?
Mhm.
You need all five.
Right, but we do discussion
Byron's
before?
not here, Kim,
Oh,
Brad,
no, we need a unanimous of who's here.
That's correct.
Right?
That's who's here. Unanimous is who's here, not who's missing.
Brad, Brad, yes,
Yes.
Ms.
Yes,
Stringfellow? Let's see, Mr. Craver,
Yes.
Mr. Primo,
Yes.
so we don't discuss before we vote to amend?
it's amended.
I know, but there's
We finding
discussion
out.
in there.
Okay, you can continue, thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
whatever, okay. So, because I was going to ask her during our discussion if it was gonna be an action, you wanted as an action item.
He already said it was going to be a discussion to see how it went.
Yeah.
And he's referred.
So then it needs to be an action item.
Yes.
Okay,
To clarify, it will be an action item.
okay,
No problem.
okay. Would you like to,
Yes, as amended, Judge Melise Trahall presented a letter to all committee members of the Public Buildings Committee requesting payment or reimbursement to her department for the cost of moving files that were stacked in her offices, and she was completely out of room. I think she did, according to her letter, wait over 3 years to obtain space in the Enterprise Center, working with the mayor, and was told that the staff wasn't currently available. And so she took it upon herself to line up the movers and presented a bill to us. She was presented a bill in the amount of $1,454.75. And she would like the city to pay for this expenditure. And I think, Mayor, you have a copy of that as well.
Yes.
And the correspondence.
So you want to move to?
And I would move to approve the request for payment of these moving costs and refer to the Revenue and Finance Committee for proper funding.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
Point of order. Is it going to the second floor of the, do you know what floor it is?
The old chamber office on the first floor.
Oh, is it, okay, I was about to say, that building is not secure.
The items have already been moved.
Yeah, that was
I
already
understand.
Okay, I mean, court records has to be secured, right?
Yes.
And Chief, am I correct?
Well, it was moved under the judges.
They are secure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well,
She gets-
They
okay.
are secure.
All right, well, we're good, I just want to make sure, thank you.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we'll move it to, revenue and finance.
And refer to finance.
Okay. And are there any other discussion items for public buildings? And we'll recess.
Next, insurance and personnel, but you'll continue.
Thank you, Mayor. Insurance and Personnel Committee, we do have a quorum. There are no action items. Are there any discussion items? Okay, and I would just like to say, I did have an item that was on my agenda, but it was removed and it hopefully will be there next week.
Yes.
So,
Well, actually, it's going to be done just to let everybody know, yes, it was removed, but all you have to do is either call me or call the office. That is really not a meeting item. To be presented at a meeting, if you could just call in a work order, that would be good.
Oh.
You wanted the street sweeper
no,
at 17th.
yeah, that as well, but,
Yes.
no, it was for the,
Oh, yes, okay, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that later.
yes.
ma'am.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mark.
Thank you.
I know this, discussion, but it's something for us to look into. Crowley Rec Department is really the only department that we have in the city that actually generates funds, correct? Am I correct? Mayor, am I correct in that, right?
Yes, it is. I would like to follow the agenda, please.
Well, this is the agenda, we are for discussion. Okay, if you allow me to finish.
But
you-
it's not on the agenda, Mr. Martin.
Mayor, when you're doing discussion, if it's germane to the subject, it's part of the discussion.
That we're on insurance and personnel.
And we talking about personnel, if you allow me to finish. This concerns the workers out in the recreation department. It's my hope that in the near future, that we take some of that revenue. We got good workers over there. We got people that works overtime and,
Mr. Martin, can we, if you talk to me about it, well, I'll put it on my next.
okay, well, that's fine. Just, yeah, basically, in a nutshell, we need to take that money and pay these employees.
Okay, let's do it, I'll put it next month.
That's fine.
We'll talk to you
Thank
about it, okay? Are there anything else for insurance and personnel? And then we'll recess.
Thank you. Next, community and economic development, Mr. Reggie.
Thank you. All are present except for Mr. Wilrich. I'll start off with Garden Club. Ms. Georgie is recovering from back surgery, and we will be meeting November 8th, which is election day, at Ms. Sandra Pruitt's home. I can give y'all the address if anybody wants to go. I know Mr. Maddox Miller with the LSU Extension Office will be telling us about what goes into naming a super plant. They will review the district meeting that just was held and the photo booth at the Rice Festival. And she said, don't forget to secure orders for the poinsettia sale. This is the only one, this is our only fundraiser for the year. Okay. Under Main Street Tourism, they said Nightmare on Mill Street was successful with over 500 people attending. They said that Let's see, Taste of Crowley would be November 10th from 6 to 9 at the Grand Hall. And it is the Main Street's largest fundraiser for the year. There'll be 14 restaurants participating. Tickets are $40 in advance and $50 at the door. And tickets can be purchased at Vanilla Bean and online at Eventbrite. And the ticket includes all taste samples and drinks. She also said, as part of the Transformation Pilot Program, the board is launching a community survey and civic leader survey this week. We all hope that the community and community leaders will complete the survey. Also, the Veterans Day program is Saturday, November 12th from 10 to 12:30 p.m. There's a parade downtown Main Street with music at the Enterprise Center afterward. History Alive will be November 25th and 26th. That will definitely sell out. November 26th, it's hard to believe it's already here, but it's Shop Small Business Saturday. And they said Christmas in Crowley is going to be Friday, December 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. And I personally saw the John Melvin baseball team picking up trash Monday right after the Rice Festival. So I appreciate those guys. They were out there hustling pretty good. And also, I had a meeting yesterday with the West Crowley Cultural District. We met with Francesca Vega, who is the Director of Civic Design and Cultural District Division of the Arts. That's a state office under the Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism, and it's all under Lieutenant Governor Billy Lancaster. She presented an overview of new district guidelines, grant opportunities, tax incentives, and nomination process for eligibility. After the meeting, I gave her a tour of the renovated ball fields, graveyard, historic district, Main Street, and the West Crowley Cemetery, and she complimented the town and kept asking, why doesn't Hallmark shoot a movie here? So,
Mr. Reggie?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I want to personally thank you for giving her that tour and putting in all the time and effort that you put in to make that and accomplish that goal.
Thank you. Under action items, to authorize a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Crowley, Acadia Parish, Louisiana, to submit an agreement associated with the City of Crowley Pavilion, and I so move.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bell. Any discussion?
Yes.
Wait.
I'll start with you, Mr. Cole.
Mayor, can we get a copy of the cooperative endeavor agreement that's been referred to over the last few weeks? I know that there's an agreement that you want to enter into with the state. I want to know what that agreement is allowing you to do on behalf of the city.
This is the beginning stages. So in order for us to get the cooperative endeavor agreement, we have to pass a resolution to move forward to that point. And then once I get the cooperative endeavor agreement, I'll be glad to give you a copy.
But I want to make sure I know what's in the cooperative endeavor agreement before I approve.
I wish Representative Stefanski could have made it tonight. He was trying, but he could not. He unfortunately not here tonight. He was trying to.
All right, but is this, who's going to prepare the cooperative endeavor agreement? Or has it been prepared yet? Because what it's saying is for the mayor to submit an agreement.
Do you have any information, Tim, besides what we have right now?
Yes, the packet has the document at the end of the agreement, which gives you the monetary information. But yes, we do have the proposed agreement that came in from the Division of Administration, and you can furnish it to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, you want that copy?
Yes, please, if we can get that before next week.
Sure, not a problem.
I'd say maybe email it to everybody, if possible.
Absolutely.
Mr. Martin.
All right, okay, back up a minute. What are you asking us to do?
Asking you to go into a cooperative endeavor agreement to be able to move forward to receive this $100,000 that Mr. Stefanski had moved from P5 to P2.
Okay, I understand.
That's it.
So in other words, what this council is doing is giving permission to go ahead and basically do the fundamentals to start the, there's no money being spent.
Start the process.
Well, I mean, it is specific that is starting the process. This will be utilized for plans and specifications.
Well, I mean, before I'm speaking on behalf of myself. Before I sign my name on the dotted line, I want to see who's getting paid and how much. you got $100,000 that's gonna be used primary, and I wanna get this straight. Just for the preliminaries of the pavilion, am I correct in this? In other words, we talking about architect fees,
Yes.
$100,000.
They asked, it's a number,
I understand what's in the package, but I don't make it, I'm not on the committee, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, I asked that question last month. I thought it was a little high for $100,000.
Oh, it's a lot high.
But that's what they
This
said
is definitely high.
That's what they said it was gonna cost, and Mr. Stefanski got us $100,000 for that.
Who said it was gonna cost that? Rich?
Well, the mayor said that's what the plans were gonna cost last month.
Well, who's supposed to be doing the plans?
I'm not doing this.
Huh? Well, wait, tell me before you, who's supposed to be doing the plans?
well, we're hoping, once we move forward, we're gonna get Mr. Hubbard.
Where's Mr. Huffpower?
He's sitting right there, he's also.
Well, Mr. Huffpower, can you tell us the breakdown of what kind of monies you're gonna be using up to $100,000?
No.
Wait, hold on, man, this is public money.
Hold on, he's got his hand,
I can answer.
Okay, please.
Right in front of you, if you look at the packet behind the committee agenda, you have a resolution, which is, the resolution will tell you,
I put, right here, let me find it.
the resolution will tell you what you would be doing in terms of the cooperative endeavor agreement. Right behind that is a funding summary that's part of the CEA. And then right behind that is the answer to most of your questions, I would believe, is the capital outlay request, which was filed last year. It gives you all the details you'll need about the size of the building, the cost, et cetera. And all of this is required by the Division of
I
Administration in
understand
order
that.
to get a
I
capital
understand
outlay
that.
approved.
Okay.
So that capital outlay request should answer all those questions. And then Mr. Corr's request for a copy of the complete cooperative endeavor agreement should answer all the other questions.
Okay, all right, with that being said, okay, and your name is what now?
Joshua Hoffbauer.
And what is your occupation?
I'm an architect.
You're an architect?
Yes, sir.
Okay, first of all, where's the building, where's this, pavilion going?
We don't know at this
I
point.
have no idea.
We don't know at this point, this is preliminary. This is preliminary, this is a capital outlay.
How much of the $100,000 are you presumed to use for your expertise?
This is the first time I've heard of this project.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Well,
this is the first time we heard of it too, we just got it
No,
tonight.
so typically the grants are applied to before we get involved with them, but typically our process is.
Sir, I handle this, I do this all over the state. But so you telling me that you knew nothing about this, but yet the mayor wants to give you $100,000?
No.
Well, I'm asking him, because he just said he didn't know anything about
No,
it.
you implied my name, and no, you're incorrect, Mr. Morgan.
Well, tell us about it, then. You
know
just
what?
gave us this
First
tonight.
of all, Mr. Reagan needs to call you out of order. That's first of all.
I'm out of order asking a simple question here.
Yeah.
You asked me for $100,000,
Well,
and the gentleman that you're gonna give it to don't know anything about it? That sounds like malfeasance to me. So you're gonna take public money
No,
and
sir,
you...
don't accuse me of.
No, I'm not accused.
No, sir,
I never said you committed. I said it sounds like malfeasance.
Mr. Martin, you're gonna have to.
Man, you must be out of your mind if you think for 1 minute my name goes on something when you gonna take $100,000 and do what you wanna do with it?
Mr. Martin, please.
Oh, come on, man.
Clint, go ahead.
This man is crazy.
Thank you. I
You
think
don't
to
know anything about
recall a drawing of a pavilion in the mayor's office when we first got in the office. Don't you have a drawing of this pavilion?
Yes, but it's not completed, it's just preliminary drawing.
But yet you gonna use
A
$100,000.
preliminary drawing.
And the other thing that kind of bothers me is there's a couple of places in here that says the pavilion will be located on city-owned property located at the intersection of East Front Street and North Avenue G, and that's in there a couple of times. And so I don't know if that should be stricken from all of this stuff or not.
You just say you don't know where it's at?
I don't think that, I think that we should have some basis for sure as to where this will be located.
That's all I'm
That's
asking.
the two things.
But apparently when I ask, it goes
Bob, you
straight.
still have something? Mr. Bowles?
Yes, never in my life have I seen such bickering over free money.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
This is not free money.
No, it's my turn to speak.
Okay, but make it clear, it's not free money.
Mr. Martin.
It comes from an
It's
obligation.
a grant.
Yeah, it's a grant.
It's a grant.
With
And
obligations.
let me finish, Steph, if you'll just, some of us do know a little bit.
I can't tell.
Yeah, some of us do know a little bit.
I can't tell.
Not all of you.
Well,
Mr.
deal with that.
Stefanski is fighting diligently to give this money to us. We don't take it, it goes elsewhere.
I understand.
And there's also additional funds, a large amount of additional funds that are available. We've already experienced the loss of that type of thing, all due credit in the past. Why are we even playing with this? Bickering over where we're gonna put it, we all know where we wanna put it. We ought to tear down that damn yellow lemon down on Main Street.
Why don't he say that?
Why are we questioning the address?
Why don't he say that then, Bob?
I don't care what the paper says, I wanna tear down the Enterprise Center, and if we're gonna do it, that's where we decide to do it.
No, just let him say
This is
that.
all in our hands, people.
The application indicates another location.
It
Thank
doesn't
you.
matter, we can change
Come on,
that, we need to get the money. That is so irrelevant.
And that was
at this
mentioned last
point.
month too, that it could be changed on the.
It is so irrelevant, the location is absolutely irrelevant. Don't play with this, we're gonna
Yeah,
lose it.
my only question to the mayor was, I know we have to come up with a third or 25%. Where does that come out of? Is that general fund?
Yes,
or-
sir.
Okay. So we'll have to come up with 25 or 33 or. Well, it doesn't say that on here, it just says 100. I think it's 33.
But again, you're not just losing, if you don't do it, you're not just losing the 100,000, you're going to lose the 1.6 million.
It's just a red person.
It's a slap in Mr. Stefanski's
No.
face, in my opinion.
Mr. Cole.
Mr. Ray, I just want to clarify. We were on the impression that we would get the 1.6 million, or 1 billion, already 5, and the 100,000. However, when I read the whole signal, it indicates that the city has to put up $33,000 to get the 100.
Exactly.
And another 400 and something $1,000
Exactly.
to get, so it's not a complete, total, free facility.
That's what I just said.
And Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong.
Jesus Christ, come on, man, come on, man.
Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, is that, we have, so we
I
have.
can confirm it, but I'm not gonna sit here and try to correct you.
No, I want to know if.
That is a very good possibility, yes, sir.
Oh,
But however, there, before you
Yes, sir.
before you emphasize that point, there were some other points that I was trying to make at the last meeting and was gonna try to start at all of the banks in Crowley to see, and we could also refuse the money at any given time if we were to be able to do this. So we were gonna go to the banks and start a fund for this pavilion and get people to buy these papers. Again, that's part of a plan, it's all preliminary. And if we could get these people, the citizens of Crowley, to involve it, get the citizens involved, get them an opportunity to be able to put their name on the ground, on the foundation. And if they want to buy a paper, they can go to the bank. The bank would receive that money. It would be different accounts at every different bank to make it very convenient for each individual person in Crowley who wanted to purchase that, or people out of Crowley. We want to make it available to our citizens. And then guess what? If you sell enough papers, it will fund the entire project. Now the rest of the story.
Well, Mayor, that's all we want to do is make informed decisions, but we don't have that information. We're out here looking at
Well, I understand.
a resolution to approve something we don't know what we're approving.
All we're asking right now is for $100,000. That's all we're asking at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And 2 points. The location, although significant when it's actually done, for applicational purposes, it's not as significant. So we move on from there to the monetary issue. I will gladly, and hopefully no one else in this audience and this council will defy what I'm saying. I'll gladly put up 33,000 to get 100,000. I'll gladly put up 400,000 to get 1.2 million.
Okay.
Okay? So I don't know if anybody in here has any problem with that, please let me know, because there's something wrong with my math then, that I'm gonna get, 3 times more than what I'm putting up. So,
I don't think the argument is about.
that's what I'm hearing.
No, the
So-
argument is not knowing all this in front before we make the decision, just like the location, the design of the building, and who's gonna maintain it, how's that gonna be funded? a lot of things that we want to know before we just give part polish approval. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
I'll go ahead, Steph.
Okay, listen. Everything you just said, Brad, is what I tried to say before I was cut off. Before we do anything, everything that you just mentioned about selling papers, man, we don't know anything about that. Why can't you give us a detailed, line by line, itemized description of what the money is going to be used for? You just brought a gentleman up here that's supposed to be the architect. He don't know nothing about it. Okay? Listen, man, I'm all for this. And Mr. Carvell, just yes, apparently you don't deal with these things too often. You just made a statement. And I'm going to let you know right now, you 100% wrong. Okay? Listen, when you're dealing with grant money, you got to have site control. You understand me? You got to have site control. Oh, you're 100% wrong. So basically, I can say, well, I'm going to go build a bridge, you understand, on Parkinson. You got to have site control when you go. It has to be listed where this money going to be used to.
Where's your contractors like this?
Yeah.
In Ruston?
Could we,
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Where is yours?
I think we need to call a question.
Where's yours? Yeah, let me see it.
Yeah.
Bring it here, let me see it.
Order.
I'd like to call a question.
You did call the question, thank you.
Yes.
You're a mouthpiece is what you are.
Mr. Martin, please.
Okay, but listen.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right,
I
that
can't
will
believe y'all
pass.
done that. I can't believe y'all
Under
done
discussion items, I don't believe I have any. So community and economic development will recess.
Thank you. Next,
You just
revenue
gave me a
and
free
finance.
check. Do what you want to do with it.
Next, revenue and finance, Mr. Cavell.
You don't have that site control. What's the hell you take?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Revenue Finance Committee will convene. All are present, therefore there is a quorum. Under action items, we have to approve the plans and specifications and to authorize the advertisement for bids and appropriate $632,500 for new restrooms and concession and restroom renovations at the Tony Robichaud Sports Complex as recommended by the Recreation Director and Project Architect.
I would like to make a motion to consider that as an action item.
We have a motion, we have a second.
It is an action.
It's already an action item.
You gotta do the second, Steve.
Then I will second it.
Motion was offered by Mr.
You're
Cavell.
making the
You're
motion?
making a
But
motion?
they're saying the motion was.
They're not
already-
chairman of the committee, you're making the motion.
Yes, whatever, I will make a
Motion,
motion, of
motion.
whatever needs to be
Do we
done.
have a second to the motion? I will second the motion. We have discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Whoever.
My only comment is still like from last month, which was, I think this is too much money because we're doing too much stuff. And I still haven't got a tax thing from last month to show where the taxes were higher or lower. Everybody said the taxes were better, but we didn't get a tax statement from the mayor from last month, and it never was emailed to us. Also, I know the facility is still deficit, so for me, I have a hard time spending that much money in a deficit. That's just my opinion.
Noted. Anyone else? Mr. Ford?
When we speak of appropriating $632,500, what fund is that, those monies coming from?
Well, I'll tell you what, since you're asking a question at this time, let me ask,
Well, can you answer, can someone answer the question?
Yes.
We'll get to it.
Yes.
Mr. Curry can come up. Mr. Curry, you have a presentation to give regarding this?
Yes, sir. Thank you. You should have all received a packet like this last week. They have the update to the business plan. Ms. Kim, that you requested last month. That letter's in there. That included preparation or included so we could document the restrooms and incorporate that into the business plan, as well as the updated table that I had told you about that for expenses and revenues to go into the business plan. Also in that packet, you should have your drawings from Mr. Hubpower, Hubpower Studios, with his drawings and his plans and specifications to go along for the restrooms and the renovation work that's being proposed out there. And you should also have an email from Mr. Huffauer that gives a breakdown on how much each aspect of the job would cost. At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Huffauer up, and if you have any questions about his plans and specifications, he'll be here to answer for you.
Can you, someone answer my question, because I've seen the plans?
I'll be able to answer that after we finish the presentation.
I've got some others as well. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Huffauer?
Yeah. Is my turn? Oh, Brett, are you?
I'll make a comment and say the plans are beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, they're top notch and well prepared and well done, well thought out. I want to give you compliments on the plans.
Thank you.
Ms. Stringfellow?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to comment as well. Thank you for adding more female stalls. Appreciate it. That's, good job.
We've got a few.
Ms. Alpine, you have anything to say?
I got my hand up over here.
I understand.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you guys had any other questions about the drawings. You know, we took into consideration all of the number of people that actually show up on a weekend, like a high capacity event, and also a Miller Stadium, and took those into consideration as we designed this. So that's really some of the things that we took into consideration for the overall field.
Sister Martin?
Okay, Mr. Huffauer, you do know about this?
Yeah, I actually know about this.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, here's the drawings.
All right, all right, well, hey, a good question. All right, listen. I talked to a few people, I know they played out at the ballpark. And before I say anything, I want to let you know I'm 100% in favor of this. Because that was the only, that and the long lines with concession. That was the only thing they complained about. Matter of fact, they asked, where was the nearest place to go use the restroom? I said, what you talking about? See me? Well, anyway, they had a lot of people that wanted to use the restroom. But listen, this is fantastic. Okay? This, like the council, this is one heck of a job. I'm 100% in favor of this for the simple reason, I made the statement earlier, that's the only department that we have that actually revenue based, okay? So, Peter, with that being said, I was skeptical at first. When I called you, I said, man, I don't know if I can vote for this because this is a lot. But from talking to people, and not only out of town, but people over here in Crowley, that their sons and daughters play ball out there, they all told me the same thing. And I called about 30 people and asked them, because I knew that they was involved in the wreck. Peter, this is one heck of a thing right here. Like Brother Reggie says, it's kind of pricey, but I think in the long run, it's going to pay for itself. So with that being said, I'm going to ask the council, please, let's make this happen, because we got a beautiful field, and the worst thing that can happen, someone has to use the restroom, and they ain't got no place to go. So I'm not on the committee, but I just wanted to stress that. And thank you, Mr. Huffauer, for admitting that you know about this.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Yeah, one of the issues that we find in all the recreation facilities that we design is that if we have proper restrooms, we keep people there.
Exactly.
To go to concession stands and actually spend more money instead of going off-site to be able to go to the restroom, because some people will do that.
And they go eat where they go use the
Where
restroom.
they go in the restroom. So that's something that would be a real benefit for the whole facility.
Thank you.
It's great.
I agree that it's definitely.
Mr. Core, to answer your question, as I promised I'd get back to,
Yes.
the majority of the revenue for the cost, we're waiting on the specific amount from Edward Jones. But last we checked, it was over $500,000. That's in accrued gains from invested income. Okay? So these aren't tax dollars directly. These are actually interest earned or that have been accrued on the investments made at Edward Jones.
So this is not coming out of the infrastructure revenue account?
It's under the accrued gains.
It's investment.
Investment income.
And
not where it
But
is.
it is an
Under that account.
But it is what's getting gained.
It is part of it.
What's the current balance in that account? Infrastructure account? Because we have a $10 million figure within Mr. Kirsch's report.
Yes.
It's in that area.
It is close to there, but I don't have that number right this second.
And further, how much of that money can be withdrawn from that account without affecting our bond rating? Because that is held for our streets.
That is
So-
correct.
So I wanna make sure that we're not getting close.
And I'll be glad to we can give you those numbers.
Do we have those before next week?
Oh, yeah, but I'll give you
I'd
the
like to
numbers.
know what the
Your
minimum is.
concern, what I'm telling you is I'll give you those numbers of your concern, but whenever we're said and done, whenever we're done with the streets, we expect to have around anywhere from 4 to 5 million left in that account.
Right, and I just wanna make sure that we're not in there minimum amount.
Yes.
And this will not impede on that. and
That is
raise our
correct.
bond rate.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Reddy.
Have you considered the ARPA funds that we have? That way we wouldn't have to touch any of our other stuff. It's money that's already coming in that is not even ours really, so has that been considered?
You use it or lose it.
And to answer your question, no.
I think I'd be more in favor if it was using ARPA funds and not some of our other stuff.
Well, it'd probably be a trade-off, because like I said, this is something that needs to be done, okay? So we're either gonna use ARPA for this, and what we're gonna use for this, for that. So, you know,
I agree with that. Yeah, that makes sense. They both the same monies. I mean, think about it. Using one or the other.
anything else? Call the question? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Crowley.
Thank you. My only concern is that in 5 years, we have a tax that's gonna have to be renewed for our infrastructure. And if that doesn't get passed, and citizens don't back us on that, then we're still gonna have to pay for these bonds for the street improvements. And the $20 million that we have in bonds, I think that I would rather see it come out of the ARPA money, as Mr. Reddy said, than to touch that infrastructure fund right now, because the amortization schedule that we were shown said that fund would never get below a certain amount, but that was considering that we were gonna be taking in the taxes. If the tax doesn't pass, then I think we need as much as we can in that infrastructure fund to be able to pay back these bonds. Just my point is that I'd like to see that money stay in infrastructure fund for now and use the ARPA money for this. There's no question about it. Mr. Buckfire gave some great insight as to how many restrooms are needed to be up to code. And I think that it's desperately needed, and I'm 110% behind it, because I go to the parks and I use those restrooms. So I understand the problems there, but I think the source of the funding is the biggest stickler that we're facing here as a council.
All right, I'm gonna call a question.
I have one more question, because with that said, is it necessary to appropriate funds at this sitting until the bids come in for approval by the council?
We're actually moving this to full council. I'm gonna call the question to the committee. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay. All right, raise a hand, all in favor say aye, raise a hand.
3-2.
All opposed?
3-2.
3-2. 3-2.
3-2.
3-2 passes.
Reggie, the motion passes to full council. We'll now go to the added second item, action. I will move to bring to full council payment in the amount of $1,454.75. The invoice submitted by Judge Melise Stronghold for labor expended to relocate city court files and boxes.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Revenue and Finance Committee, there were no other discussion items. We'll now recess.
Jeff, before you recess,
Excuse me 1 second, please don't forget to bring all of your copies, please.
Let's go there. I think I got something over here of yours. It's your candidate's report. How did it get to me? This is your candidate's report right here. Your name is Jeff Carvel, right? You want me, well, tell me who you got donations from, and tell me.
Okay. I don't know what
Well, here, you better take this, man. This is confidential. I ain't got it, I have no idea. Well, no, but I'm saying, I don't wanna know your whoever, Yeah, but what I'm saying is this, Well, okay, you want me to keep, I'll keep it.
I mean, it doesn't bother me.
Well, okay then. Hey, I don't know how I got it, but it's in my pocket. Hey, I'm good, y'all good.
And Steph, I'm qualified party in at least 5 states.
Well, guess what, buddy, we are enforcing, we under, total, shall we say, control, of the one thing, that's it. But with Steph Martin